These people have the kind of disposable income that most of us can only dream of. Hey guys, it's Phoebe with WatchMojo. Today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 richest heirs and heiresses in America.
I was happy to wear it to the Met Gala on Monday and honor my family's legacy and tradition, and to be able to keep that sentimental piece.
We're taking a look at America's richest heirs and heiresses who've become filthy rich due to their substantial inheritances. We'll only be considering numbers reported as of 2019, so these are subject to change. Let's get to it. Number 10, Clare Bronfman. A member of the Bronfman family, who attained their wealth primarily through ownership of the now-defunct Seagram's alcohol distillery, Clare Bronfman is one of the world's richest heiresses.
Fortune came out of the bottle. Brands familiar to generations of Canadians. Vats of alcohol that made the Bronfmans billions of dollars.
In her younger years, Bronfman enjoyed a successful career as an equestrian, notably winning the Grand Prix in 2002. In the 21st century, Clare Bronfman is infamously known for her involvement in NXIVM, an organization that many have described as being a cult.
Today, Clare Bronfman returns to court. The heiress to the Seagram's liquor fortune is facing charges in connection with the suspected sex cult known as NXIVM.
In 2019, Bronfman, who served as the company's operations director, as well as a major financial contributor, pled guilty to charges that included conspiracy to conceal and harbor illegal aliens for financial gain.
I don't think she ever in a million years, and anybody who knows her, ever expected that she would end up pleading guilty to 2 felonies.
As such, just how much of her father Edgar Bronfman Sr.'s $2.6 billion fortune was left to her remains a mystery, though it's believed to be upwards of $500 million. Number 9, Teresa Heinz.
Well, yes, she's the heir to the Heinz ketchup fortune. But as of now, the family decision is not to use it, for fear of being seen to try to buy the presidency.
Who knew that being the heir to a fortune built on ketchup could be so lucrative? In 1966, John Heinz, heir to the Heinz ketchup fortune, married Teresa Simoes Ferreira. Sadly, Heinz died in a plane crash in 1991.
Heinz, an heir to the H.J. Heinz fortune, was one of the Senate's wealthiest men, but he tried to distance himself from his background. He concentrated on issues involving health care, the elderly, and the ailing steel industry.
Reports differ on how much of his fortune was left to her. Some sources claim a prenuptial agreement resulted in the separation of their premarital assets, while others state that Heinz left between $500 million up to the entirety of his wealth to his wife. Though the whole truth is difficult to come by, what we do know is that the businesswoman and philanthropist went on to marry her husband's political colleague and future presidential candidate John Kerry in 1995. In 2008, Teresa Heinz Kerry was said to be worth upwards of $1 billion. Today it's believed that she's worth between $750 million and $1.2 billion.
And you know, I think in our society we tend to be so numerical. Everything is in inches, or in dollars, or whatever.
Number 8, Jared Kushner. You'll be getting 2 heirs for the price of 1 in this entry.
We already know that he's the coolest. He can really rock a trill pair of sunnies. But what is going on behind them?
Investor, real estate developer, and newspaper publisher turned senior White House advisor Jared Kushner is the son of Charles Kushner, a real estate magnate who in 2017 was reported by Forbes to be worth in excess of $1.8 billion. Clearly not content to simply inherit his father's enormous wealth, Jared Kushner married Ivanka Trump, heiress to the Trump real estate fortune.
And when the Kushner clan and Trump clan became united, they became front-page tabloid fodder.
Their combined net worth is said to be over $1 billion. However, this does not include the money both will ultimately inherit from their fathers in the future.
I did not plan my life to go into politics. I had a good life. I have a great wife, a great family. I was working in business. I had several companies, and my father-in-law announced he was running for president, and that was something that he did.
Yeah, we noticed.
Yeah, CNN definitely noticed.
Number 7, Allegra Versace Beck. The source of this heiress's wealth can be found right there in her name.
Versace, 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 whoa, Versace, Versace, Versace.
In 1997, famed Italian fashion designer Gianni Versace was fatally shot outside of his home at the age of 50. At the time of Versace's death, 30% of his company was owned by his brother Santo, and 20% was owned by his sister Donatella. In his will, Gianni left the remaining 50% to his niece, Allegra Versace, who was just 11 years old at the time. While the fortune officially became hers when she turned 18, Allegra opted not to join the family business until she completed her education 6 years later. Today, Allegra Versace Beck is worth between $800 and $900 million. Number 6. Ariana Rockefeller. The great-granddaughter of America's first billionaire, John D. Rockefeller, a man who many consider to be the richest in modern history, Ariana Rockefeller is set to inherit a substantial amount of money in the future.
And it is by these that this slight 63-year-old man and the name he represents will long be remembered.
While her family has been estimated to be worth $11 billion as of 2016, that amount has been divided up between 174 different family members, according to Forbes.
I would say that it is incredibly important to be close as a family and to work hard and to budget wisely.
As such, Ariana Rockefeller will only receive a portion of the total amount. Boo-hoo, right? Despite her family's wealth, Ariana has carved out a nice little career for herself in the fashion industry as a designer and is currently involved in a number of charitable causes. And her own net worth is currently estimated at about $2.8 billion.
There's such a value of having a work ethic in my family and of working hard at whatever it is we choose to do and focus on.
Number 5. Ronald Lauder. Legendary cosmetics mogul Estee Lauder passed away in 2004, leaving the sum of her substantial fortune to her sons Ronald and Leonard. The two heirs are worth billions, with Ronald sitting comfortably atop a sum of $4.3 billion. Throughout the years, Ronald Lauder has put his wealth and influence towards a number of philanthropic causes, and he's been serving as the president of the World Jewish Congress since 2007, an international federation whose goal is to act as the diplomatic arm of the Jewish people. Ronald Lauder's daughters, who joined the family business, are also heiresses, with Erin worth about $2.7 billion and Jane worth approximately $4.2 billion. Wonder what their family gatherings are like. Number 4. Dylan Lauren. The daughter of celebrated fashion designer Ralph Lauren, Dylan Lauren is no slouch. Despite her father's considerable wealth, Dylan has worked hard to establish herself as a businesswoman and entrepreneur.
Instead of following her dad, Ralph Lauren, into a fashion career, Dylan pursued her own passion, creating a premier confectionery emporium, Dylan's Candy Bar.
She's the owner of Dylan's Candy Bar, a chain of US-based candy shops headquartered in New York City, and served as a judge on season 1 of the ABC show The Toy Box.
I think it's a great idea.
Dylan Lauren, founder of Dylan's Candy Bar.
While she's currently worth $50 million, she's set to inherit a heck of a lot more of that when her father passes away, as he's worth $6.3 billion.
He's a real artist, and I think that inspired me to be, sort of an entrepreneur and an artist myself and do something that I was passionate about, because I always admired, how passionate he was and that he just loved his work.
Number 3. Douglas Durst.
1 Bryant Park, 4 Times Square, 1 World Trade Center. Iconic pieces of the New York skyline, all owned or managed by the Durst organization.
The grandson of Joseph Durst, who in 1915 founded a real estate company that controls billions of dollars in properties known as the Durst organization, Douglas Durst currently serves as the chairman of the eponymous family business. The longtime heir to the family fortune is now the man in charge, and as such has control of the family's enormous fortune. In 2015, Forbes reported that the Durst family was worth $5.2 billion, with Douglas Durst himself worth $4.4 billion. Douglas's 3 children are certainly very lucky to have such a wealthy father. Number 2. Victoria B. Mars. We've discussed a lot of heirs and heiresses today, but Victoria B. Mars is definitely the sweetest. While we're sure she has a lovely personality, we're actually referring to the source of her family's wealth: chocolate and candy. In 1911, Franklin Clarence Mars, Veronica's great-grandfather, founded Mars Incorporated, known for its confectionery treats. The company has remained relevant, not to mention enormously successful, for over a century, with individuals like Veronica B. Mars now reaping the rewards of her family's decades-old business endeavor.
What makes me proud about Mars? And clearly, I've got to start with the fact that we are a successful global food business.
Mars Incorporated is one of America's largest privately held companies, with a revenue of $35 billion, and Victoria B. Mars, who serves as its chairman, has a net worth of $6.5 billion.
Culture at Mars is probably the absolute key, I think, to our success and our sense of pride about who we are.
Heiress to a candy empire? What a dream. Before we unveil our #1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
Come on, who's dancing? You want me to get it started? I'll get it started.
And yes, he's a Getty. His great-grandfather, John Paul Getty, was the richest man in the world at one point, in charge of one of the greatest oil fortunes ever.
I just enjoy making my own money and not having to ask my parents for anything. It makes me feel good about myself. And it's a lot of fun just to be able to buy whatever I want and do it on my own and not ask anybody.
Allie Hilfiger, the daughter of one of the most famous faces in fashion, Tommy Hilfiger. She's a writer, artist, designer, but she's best known for a 2003 MTV reality show, Rich Girls.
Father, Bernie Ecclestone, Formula One billionaire. Mother, Slavica, Croatian model. She's engaged to a guy named James, and she's a one-time model and aspirant handbag designer.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. #1. Patty Hearst. The granddaughter of 20th century newspaper magnate William Randolph Hearst, Patty Hearst gained national attention when she was kidnapped by a terrorist group in 1974 and subsequently committed crimes with them after years of forced indoctrination.
The impact of the photographs of Patty Hearst with the machine gun were in some ways even bigger than the kidnapping itself.
Despite an initial sentence of 35 years in prison, Hearst's sentence was commuted to time served by President Jimmy Carter, and she later received a full pardon from President Bill Clinton. Today, Patty Hearst is an author, actress, and socialite, and is one of the 67 people sharing in the famous family fortune that's estimated to be between $24.5 and $30 billion.
In 1980, I went so far as to write a book about what had happened, and I wrote all about the bank robbery. I went ahead and printed it, even though I had no use immunity for it. And quite frankly, I fully expected to be charged with murder.
Following in her mother's footsteps, Lydia Hearst Shaw, a model and actress, is an heiress in her own right and said to be currently worth about $100 million, and who will one day inherit her share of the Hearst fortune.
What was it like growing up with her? You know, everyone always seems so taken aback by this answer, but it was normal.
Patty Hearst has certainly led an interesting life. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments or tweet me at Phoebe_WM. And check out this video.